Imagine 1848. One man dies with more cash than the entire U.S. Treasury. Sounds like a typo, right? Nope. One immigrant showed up in New York clutching 7 flutes, 5 German wool coats, and barely a word of English, outmoneyed the federal government. That was John Jacob Astor. Long before Forbes started counting billionaires, he quietly piled up the first American fortune worth $20 million.
How do you even pull that off when the whole country is pretty much woods and wishful thinking? From butcher's son to boat stowaway. Astor's backstory is so cinematic, Hollywood would laugh it out of the writer's room. Born 1763 in Waldorf, a village so tiny the goats probably had surnames. Dad's the local butcher, Mom keeps the clan afloat, and little Johann, still Johann back then, learns fast. If you want more than sausage for dinner, you bail.
At 14, he's hustling meat for his brother. At 16, he's scheming in London. At 20, he's on a ship to America because some stranger mentioned you can trade furs there. That's the whole plan, ocean crossing on a rumor.
He docks in 1784, rebrands himself John Jacob because it sounds less foreign, and starts trudging the wharves offering to buy or sell whatever you've got. Within a year, he marries a landowner's daughter, borrows enough to snag a sliver of land on Water Street, and opens a little flute and piano shop, those 7 flutes finally paying rent, while quietly discovering that beaver pelts fetch 10 times more in China than on Manhattan.
Light bulb moment. Except the bulb's a tallow candle, and Astor just realized the candle is made of money.
Inventing the fur trade monopoly. Now it gets spicy. Most traders paddle a canoe, swap some beads, paddle home. Astor decides to build a vertical pipeline from the Rockies to Canton. Step 1. He launches the American Fur Company in 1808 with $1 million, every cent his. Picture your neighborhood barista single-handedly seed-funding Starbucks.
Step 2. He strings trading posts across the continent like Amazon fulfillment centers, crown jewel Fort Astoria on the Columbia River. Step 3. He loads his own ships with furs, sails to China, trades for tea and porcelain, unloads those goods in London, then coasts back to New York with profit stacked on profit.
He isn't just trading, he's printing geographic arbitrage. If a British or Canadian rival shows up, Astor whips out 2 weapons, cash and Congress. He lobbies for stiff fees on foreign traders, then bankrolls friendly politicians. By the 1820s, if you wore a beaver hat east of the Mississippi, odds are the beaver died on Astor's turf.
Quick pause. If stories like this make you wonder how today's giants pull the same levers, hit subscribe. We drop a new deep dive every week on the people who spin chaos into capital. And tell us below, what would you do with $1 million in 1808? Buy land, furs, or sail for the horizon?
Pivoting before the trap springs. Fur bubbles pop like crypto. Oversupply, fashion flip, plus those pesky animals running low. Astor reads the wall. In 1834, he sells the American Fur Company at peak price, cashes out, and pivots to the one thing they're not making more of, Manhattan dirt. While everyone else chases canal stocks or cotton, he scoops farmland north of 14th Street for pennies. City marches north, streets get gridded. Suddenly, he's renting lots to butchers, wagon shops, and brothels.
Rent rolls in, values climb, and Astor becomes New York's first landlord with a monopoly on tomorrow. He even times the dips. Panic of 1837? He's the guy clutching gold when banks slam their vaults. He buys foreclosed blocks, holds through the crash, then leases them back to the same folks who just went bust. Only now they mail him rent every month. It's cold, it's brilliant, and it's why by 1840 you can't walk 10 blocks without stepping on Astor-owned ground. Branding the gilded lifestyle. Astor figures out something most tycoons miss. Wealth isn't just what you own, it's the story you tell. In 1836, he builds the Astor House Hotel. 6 stories, indoor plumbing, French chefs. Newspapers crown it the Palace of the Republic. Every senator, every European duke, every railroad baron craves an invite beneath its chandeliers. That buzz inflates the perceived value of everything Astor touches. The way glass-box Apple stores turn aluminum laptops into jewelry. Later generations run with the baton. Waldorf Astoria, Astor Library, even the New York Public Library sprout from his seed money. He basically invents the notion that you can live so large your grandkids stay famous without lifting a finger. Death, dollars, and dynasty. March 1848. Astor dies at 84. 20 million back then equals roughly $500 billion today. The stash bankrolls dynastic marriages, a railroad empire, and half of Newport's cottages. But here's the kicker. He leaves a playbook. Buy land, never sell, lease long, borrow cheap. His heirs follow it so faithfully that a century later, during the Great Depression, they're still cutting checks, while other families are jumping out of windows. So, what's the Astor blueprint? Spot a bottleneck, beaver, tea, city blocks, before the crowd. Build infrastructure you control, ships, forts, streets. Bend government rules into guardrails for your wagon. And when the music changes, don't reinvent the wheel. Buy the road it rolls on. Astor didn't invent fur hats or Manhattan, but he owned the tunnels every dollar traveled through. Next time someone claims today's billionaires are unprecedented, remember the butcher's kid who spoke broken English and still outcashed the U.S. Treasury. History doesn't repeat, but it sure knows how to stack zeros. Thanks for watching. If you learned something, smash like, share it with a friend who thinks old money means 1990, and I'll catch you next week with another tale of capitalism's wildest bets.